Say that you a baller. You lame, can't play this game. Step up to the plate, cause you say that you a baller. At the top, this is how I rock.
Welcome into the Nesson Digital Studios. Courtney Cox here with Darren Hartwell, and happy birthday. It's not actually Darren's birthday. It's to us because this is the first episode of The Rebound, the new Nesson NBA podcast. I want to make sure that's clear. It's not about the Celtics, only Celtics. We will talk about the Celtics, but it's about the NBA as a whole. We are in Boston.
That's right.
But it's going to be about the NBA. We also might talk about some dating things going on.
It is called The Rebound, after all.
Called The Rebound. You in a relationship, myself single. So
a lot to cover. A lot of bases to cover.
Honestly, a lot to cover. Yep. We're going to have guests on this show. We're going to have interviews. We're going to talk about all things NBA, coast to coast. We're going to talk about it each week, hopefully somewhere in the middle of the week, end of the week. And we're going to give you everything you need to know. Nesson.com already does that, but now we're going to do it in this format. So it's going to be, are you excited about it?
I'm excited. Can't wait.
You're a big basketball guy. We had a lot of fun last season. I know that I said that it's not just about the Celtics, but we are in Boston. We got to cover the Celtics pretty lengthy.
Yeah, lengthily.
Lengthily, is that the word?
Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah.
Lengthily, back last postseason. So we had a lot of fun with that.
Should be back there this season. Hopefully, it looks like definitely an exciting Celtics team. Regardless of what happens, there's going to be a lot to cover. A lot of interesting guys on this year's team, notably Kyrie Irving, who likes to speak his mind and is quite eloquent, you could say. So yeah, it's going to be a fun season.
He actually, this past offseason, has been one of my favorite people to listen to speak. And I know we're probably going to get a lot of hate for that because, yes, he did make some claims about what the Earth's shape is. Yep. But he actually is very well spoken.
He is,
and he captures you. You want to talk to him. But let's talk about some big storylines this past offseason. You already touched on one. Kyrie Irving is now a Boston Celtic. Huge news. Isaiah Thomas is not a Boston Celtic. He is now with Cleveland. I'm sure you've all known that, unless you're living under a rock. But that's probably one of the biggest storylines coming out of this offseason. Yeah,
it's pretty wild considering what happened last season with Kevin Durant, the Kevin Durant sweepstakes, the free agency. That was kind of like, oh man, this is a really exciting NBA offseason. And then this offseason just comes and, in my opinion, one-ups it, raises the bar even higher. I mean, this is something that happened after after free agency already opened. It was late in the season, or late in the offseason. And this is two competitors in the Eastern Conference who are going directly against each other, trading their star players. It's kind of unprecedented, and obviously there's all sorts of drama surrounding it with the Kyrie LeBron situation, with the Isaiah Thomas hip injury situation. It's going to be pretty fascinating to see. I think for right now, it looks like in the short term, Boston gets Kyrie, a guy who can contribute right away. The Cavs kind of have to wait and see on Isaiah because he might not be back for a little bit. But if you put on top of that the fact that they're going to face each other on opening night, it's quite the trade.
Well, you say Isaiah, but the Cavs also got Dwayne Wade.
Right.
So now this whole storyline, NBA fans everywhere are thanking the NBA gods because it really has been one of the most exciting off seasons. I mean, it's obviously not exciting if you are a fan of one player and in that he lives in your city, he plays for your city and then moves. That's not that exciting. But if you're an overall NBA fan, you're pretty fired up. And those aren't even all of the big moves. You look at Paul George and Melo going to OKC. It's just been, everybody wants to be a power team. Everybody wants to be stacked. Obviously.
Well, it's there's one reason for that, and it's the Warriors.
Yes.
It's kind of fascinating what the Warriors have done to the rest of the NBA and forced the rest of the NBA to do. You have all these guys, they try to form their own super teams to match up with them. It's kind of like the group text offseason, I like to call it.
Group text offseason.
It's like Carmelo's texting Paul George and Russell Westbrook, and then Chris Paul is texting James Harden, and they're all trying to get together like, hey, let's go, I'll go play with you. Oh yeah, we'll go get our buddy from over here. LeBron James is bringing in Dwayne Wade. Hey man, want to come back for one more season? And they all have their sights set in the Warriors because the Warriors are one of the most dominant teams, one of the most stacked lineups in recent history. So now you have these super teams kind of forming up, and the NBA is one of the few leagues where that can happen, where you can have a few guys, like one or two or three guys. That big three is kind of the blueprint now to that can really transform a team.
Well, you're talking about text messages, and one of the most interesting things I thought, going back to Celtics, Gordon Hayward is another new Celtic.
Yep.
And when we went for their first press conference, he himself, Kyrie Irving, both had a kind of a joint press conference, and they talked about, I want to say back in like 2013 or something.
Yeah, right.
And they were saying, Kyrie was trying to get Gordon to go to Cleveland, and it is interesting to think, these players actually do reach out to each other if they want them to come to the team, because you don't really think of it when you're just on the outside looking in. You think, the higher ups are the guys who are reaching out. It's not really. It's the guys that are on the team, in the locker room, that want to get a certain someone there. There was shade thrown during that as well, because Gordon said, I was kind of all for it, and then LeBron James walked in, and I said, nah, I don't want to play there.
That squashes that, or something to that effect.
It was. I mean, it was every person in the media room laughed a lot, and then immediately were tweeting out, telling their producers, clip that right now, get that out as fast as you can.
Going down.
Yeah. Also, Carmelo Anthony to the Thunder.
Yep.
Like we just said, is that move bigger than a Kyrie Isaiah move?
I don't think so, but
because we are kind of in a Boston bubble here.
Right. I think that move is interesting, just because I think Melo, he's kind of, we call it in the back nine of his career. He's getting up there, but he still can score.
That's tough. That's
I mean, if you think about it,
yeah.
He's in LeBron's draft class, and LeBron came right out of high school, so he's a few years older than LeBron. Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony. That's a pretty formidable big three. I just think that, you look at the rest of their team. I don't think they're on the same level as the Warriors. Obviously, I don't think anyone is, but I think they're going to have a tough time. They might be a top four team in the Western Conference this year, but I think the Celtics also have the benefit of seeing these star players move out of the Eastern Conference. So Paul George goes from the Pacers to the Thunder, and then Melo goes from not that the Pacers or Knicks were contenders, but it's kind of the Eastern Conference is really thinning out in terms of star players. We'll talk about Jimmy Butler too. He's leaving for the Timberwolves. It's kind of the Celtics and the Cavs and the rest of the pack right now in the East. So I just think that trade will have more of an impact on the shape of its respective conference.
Well, that was going to be my next question, because we are talking about the dominance of the Warriors. When you look at these other three teams, Celtics, Thunder, and Cavs, do you think any of them are on the same, playing? Is it becoming more even, I want to say, when you look at these, top tier teams? Is it becoming more of an even playing field now that we have, these big threes showing up everywhere?
I think it's getting a little bit. I do think it's getting a little bit more top heavy. So there are a few more teams now who are maybe ready to take that next step, and then there are more teams who are just going to be really bad. I think the majority of the East is might be pretty tough to watch this year. But I think right now the Cavs, especially if they get Isaiah Thomas back in the second half of the season, they're probably going to be the biggest threat to the Warriors. I think we could see a round four with the Warriors and Cavs in the finals. The Celtics obviously are going to challenge them, but if Isaiah Thomas can be the player that he was, obviously he's going to have a different role in Cleveland, and it's going to be a little bit different situation with LeBron James. But if he can score the way he did in Boston and be that kind of sidekick to LeBron James, they're going to have a really talented team. They have an experienced team. They still have Kevin Love, J.R. Smith, Derrick Rose, the 2012 All-Star team there. But I think they can give the Warriors a run for their money.
So Isaiah Thomas has been very, complimentary of Boston, says, there's nothing but love there. Were you surprised when he made the comment this past week about how he doesn't think he'll ever talk to Danny Ainge again?
Yeah, I want to say it was, but at the same time, that's kind of how Isaiah is.
Right.
He kind of just says what's on his mind.
And do we blame him?
No.
I mean, it was the most heartbreaking time in his life, and he put it all out there for that team, for that front office, and then to get traded. I mean, that's tough.
I mean, that's kind of how he's operated his entire career is slights against them. Everyone kind of underestimates and counts him out, and he hasn't been afraid to vocalize that. So I think that's kind of where he's at, and a lot of people would maybe have that deep down and not say it.
Right.
He's not afraid to say it. He's like, this is how I feel, and I think that maybe there isn't, that situation won't like smooth over with Danny Ainge, but I think with the rest of the Celtics, they kind of know it's a business. I don't think there's any hard feelings between players on the Celtics.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But yeah. I don't know if you saw, but on Twitter, it was going all around Twitter. A local reporter was the one who actually told Danny Ainge that Isaiah had said it. He hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, did he really say that? You could tell he was kind of bummed.
Yeah.
Because he loves Isaiah.
Right.
It wasn't anything against Isaiah. It was just...
Yeah, and I think there was a piece, I think a Sports Illustrated piece about Isaiah Thomas, and there's a little excerpt about Brad Stevens, and one of the quotes is like, Brad Stevens texted Isaiah Thomas and is basically like, I've been sitting here in my office for the last few hours trying to think about what to say to you after the trade. So I think it's just it's a tough situation all around, but at the end of the day, NBA is a business.
Yeah, tough but exciting time. Now switching gears completely from guys that, have really put their mark on the NBA to guys that haven't yet. You can't talk about rookies without starting with Lonzo Ball. Mm-hmm. The Ball family is just a highlight reel of outrageous comments.
Yep.
People can't stop talking about them. They have their own show on Facebook, which actually, after watching a little bit of it, I am kind of more of a Ball fan.
You like it?
There's just a lot more to the family than meets the eye.
Yeah.
They have a lot more going on, obviously, behind the scenes, and I don't know. They're not to make comparisons, but they're kind of like a Kardashian. Everybody wants to hate them, but they are a family. They are, tight-knit. Yeah. But Lonzo Ball, a new Laker, are Lakers fans going to like him? Are they going to hate him?
I will say this. He's going to have a huge target on his back.
Huge.
I think we've already seen some NBA players. I think it was Ben Simmons maybe, or Joel Embiid, basically saying, I can't wait to play Lonzo Ball and just, go after him.
Well, you can't talk such a big game before even stepping on the court.
Yeah. To Lonzo's credit, he's somewhat a product of his family. Like, it's usually his dad who's saying the absurd stuff, and he's just kind of like, relatively respectful, quiet guy, but he's still a very confident player. It's interesting though. He's the I think it was on OddsShark. He's the favorite to win the Rookie of the Year. So he's the odds-on favorite right now. I think he could. I think this is going to be an interesting Lakers team to watch. I'll stick with that adjective.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's never a good adjective to use.
I don't know if they have some very exciting players, and if you watch Summer League at all, obviously Summer League's not a direct barometer, but Ball can make some serious plays. At the very least, I think he's going to be on a lot of highlight reels. You saw Kyle Kuzma too. He's another rookie who could make a big splash. They have some other young guys, Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle. So that's going to be interesting. I think the Lakers fan base is pretty on board with Lonzo. I think they're excited. It's like the franchise point guard kind of thing. Could be there for a while. I think the spotlight's going to be on him, but I think he can handle the challenge.
Did you respect the move of switching the sneakers to purple and yellow before getting drafted?
Yeah.
You do?
I don't know. It's one of those things.
It was just such a Ball move that it was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And then LeVar walking out, and
it's a Comedy Central piece.
Never a dull moment.
But so do you think he is the biggest rookie that everyone's going to be talking about? Do you think he's going to have the biggest impact on his respective team?
I think
when you look at rookies as a whole.
I think so. Yeah. I think, there are a couple other rookies who are kind of he's kind of the big name, right? Mm-hmm. He's the star. Obviously, you have to look at Marco Fultz, the actual #1 pick in Philly. He comes with a little bit of intrigue because I think the Sixers have a lot of talent in their front court. With Joel Embiid, his preseason debut last night, everyone was freaking out about that. He played really well.
Right.
Ben Simmons, who technically also is a rookie, going to be, him and that's a pretty dynamic duo right there. But it's going to be up to Fultz to kind of lead the offense and prove that he's worthy of the #1 pick. One dark horse I'm looking at is Dennis Smith Jr. From the Mavs. I wouldn't necessarily say he's a dark horse. A lot of people have been talking about it. He's been playing really well this summer. The Mavs aren't going to be that good, but I think he could make a challenge for Rookie of the Year. He's a guy who's really explosive and can make a lot of plays, so he's going to be another guy to watch. In terms of, from our perspective, the most exciting guy to watch is going to be Ball.
Right.
Just because of the whole situation, and he's in LA. If he plays well this season, if he proves himself right away, then you have to think about the free agents that might want to check out LA. You have rumors that LeBron's going to go to LA next year, and then Russell Westbrook. So obviously Westbrook, Ball, that might be a whole nother issue. But if Ball proves himself, then it's like, all right, this is the guy we can build around, and then the stars will come.
All right, well, going from that to an event that you and I were actually at.
Yes.
Celtics Media Day brought a lot of questions. There were kind of storylines that you knew were going to happen going into the day. Obviously, the national anthem, guys kneeling, guys standing in the NFL. It was right after that big Sunday where everyone kind of, did different things with their teams, that NFL Sunday. So we knew going into it, like, that was going to be talked about kind of nonstop.
Yep.
And it was. So here's a little bit of what we heard at Celtics Media Day regarding the national anthem.
We as the Celtics organization support our guys and their right to take a stand, to protest peacefully, and to promote positive change.
I think athletes have a tremendous opportunity here. I think sports is highly influential. And I think with what's going on in football, we're having the freedom to express their First Amendment right. I think that should be something that should be considered and understood.
To be able to have that realization that our voices can be heard, and understanding the intent on why individuals do the things that they do in order to feel like they're making a change in society, or they're pushing forward a culture that ultimately was founded on some questionable things, and it's your right to have that ability to stand up and say something.
We have conversations about all these types of issues individually and sometimes collectively when it needs to, but I love hearing the perspectives of our young players, and just want to make sure that we're on the same page. We support our players, and everybody, what makes the world fun is different opinions and diversity. But I just want to make sure that our guys are, together on.
So obviously we knew that Danny Ainge would be asked about it. We knew that Brad Stevens would be asked about it. Kyrie Irving, obviously you're going to get a lengthy quote from him about it. Jaylen Brown, though, actually was the guy that I left being like, he's the one who's not, I don't want to say the most passionate about this subject matter, but the one that's really, focusing on what the team is going to do collectively once the season starts.
Right, and you mentioned he's reaching out to players, he's texting players, he's texting Kyrie Irving. It's kind of been a popular topic, just how kind of mature he is for his age, but I think this is another example of it. The kid's 20 years old.
It's absurd.
He's definitely a little bit beyond his years. And interestingly enough, he's one of the longest tenured players in this team, just having been on the team last year. So yeah, obviously that's going to be interesting to see how the national anthem stuff plays out in the beginning of the season. I think it's definitely a different field than the NFL. A lot more.
I mean, less guys, so it's going to be
less guys. I think you're going to see maybe see more protests, more demonstrations, whatever you want to call it. But it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. But yeah, Jalen's right in the middle of it.
Definitely, and I mean, every guy in the NBA, every big name guy, definitely took to Twitter on that Sunday too. Yep. I mean, we saw LeBron James tweeting about it, so that season opener, we're gonna see a span of how teams respond.
Yep, yeah, in some fashion. Who knows what's gonna happen? But NBA players certainly not afraid to speak their minds. Very active on social media, as we know. So,
but yeah, Jaylen Brown really, he was the most vocal one, I thought. And can you imagine sending a group message with Kyrie Irving? You're 20 years old. You're like, hey, Kyrie, wanted to get your thoughts on how we should approach this for the season.
I mean, the funny thing is that Kyrie's only 25. There's like all these young guys.
Yeah, but still, you're looking at this like.
Yeah, he's kind of a respected guy. But hey, props to Jalen.
Absolutely. Well, that wasn't the only big topic that was discussed. Obviously, when Kyrie Irving came into the room, everyone scurried to their seats because you knew there was going to be endless questions about LeBron James. If I'm Kyrie Irving, I'm like, all right, guys, ask about me. I don't want to talk about him anymore. But here's a little bit of what Kyrie Irving had to say about him.
Kyrie, LeBron also said that he wondered whether there was something that he could do better in order to keep you from making that trade request. What would you tell him?
I mean, if we ever have that conversation, I don't think it's for anybody else but me and him. So.
Were there things though that you felt like?
Even if like that's what I'm saying, Jeff. Like even if there are things, like it's not anybody else's business. It's just really between two men. So. That's really where it is, you know. As much as you would like, as much as everyone here would love to hear that, it's just that's between two men, and that's what does.
Listen, I think everybody would like to know.
I mean, like I said, if it happens or not, I'm pretty sure you guys won't know about it. So it's not whether or not I want to or not. It's literally just about having the respect of two men and having that conversation be respected. That's all.
So that was in regards to a reporter asking about if there was going to be like a meeting of LeBron and Kyrie kind of like talking things out. Mm-hmm. He has every right to say, you know, like that's none of your business.
Right.
Like obviously there's a relationship there. Obviously stuff has happened. It's plain to see he doesn't want to, he's not going to tell us, I want to talk to him and this is what I'm going to say to him.
Yeah, I think the ironic part is by him saying that, it's just only going to drive further speculation. It's like, you know, we don't know something, so that we want to find that out even more.
Right.
But yeah.
But he actually was complimentary to LeBron. It was definitely a different tone on Media Day than his initial press conference, I thought. His initial press conference, he did kind of make jabs at LeBron in his own way of doing it.
Yeah.
But this one, he said, you know, he taught me a lot. Mm-hmm. And was complimentary, and then switched the tables, and LeBron is kind of being like calling him a kid. It's a constant battle back and forth that I don't see it going away anytime soon. I don't think it's going to slow down. I don't think guys are going to stop asking about it or girls are going to stop asking about it. This is something that's going to go on all season.
Yeah, and especially, as we mentioned, these are the two teams that are in theory going to be competing in the East. So they're going to be competing directly against each other. You know, I will say this, that it does put a lot of pressure on Kyrie. He put a lot of pressure on himself. You know, when you leave LeBron James, when you demand a trade away from a team that LeBron James is on, a team that's LeBron James has been to 7 consecutive NBA Finals. So it's like, okay, you want to start your own thing, but it's you're going away from a player who makes everyone on his team better and is one of the best players of all time. That said, I mean, if he wants to do that, that's his prerogative. You know, if he wants to start his next basketball chapter,
do you think Cleveland people are thinking that though?
No,
people of Cleveland are not like his prerogative.
Oh yeah, no.
And we were talking right before this about a comment that he made about coming to Boston.
Yes, he said it's nice to be playing in like a real sports city. You know, so yeah, Cleveland's just kind of second rate apparently. He has a tendency to say those things. I think on the basketball side of things, he's obviously he's going to be an extremely exciting player to watch. He's one of the best scorers, best creators in the game. But I think he's going to have to. The issue for him is he's going to have to prove that he's a leader, prove that he can take that step as a leader. Because the reason why he wanted to get out of LeBron's shadow is because LeBron's calling him a kid. You know, it's just kind of like his big brother or father figure, whatever the media went with that. Now the spotlight will be on him. Obviously, the Celtics have a lot of talent. You have Gordon Hayward and Al Horford, two guys who are kind of been overlooked with Kyrie Irving coming, but. You know, he gets the chance to run the show now and keep everyone together. And I think a lot of the controversy, if there's some controversies this season, he'll probably get the brunt of that. Just that's how the situation is set up. So big target on his back. We'll see how he handles it. Like I said, he's only 25 years old, so he has a kind of maybe a maturing process to see how this plays out in Boston.
Well, he's not the only new guy on the Celtics roster.
Yep.
So when you look at it, obviously he's going to make a huge difference, hopefully for good, for Celtics fans. But when you look overall, there's so many new guys. Do you think that besides him, there's somebody else that can really, you know, get this team going, bring them to the next level that Celtics fans want to see them at?
Yeah, and so, you know, we can talk about Gordon Hayward. I think he's going to do a lot of things on both sides of the ball. You know, Marcus Morris and Aaron Baines, those are good additions in the front court. The guy I think who could kind of be the X factor this year, though, is Jaylen Brown, as we mentioned. I think, you know, going into his second year, he's, you know, he got a good amount of minutes down the stretch last season. And I think the big thing for him is his defense. You know, the Celtics lost Jay Crowder and Avery Bradley this offseason. They kind of need someone to fill that void. Obviously, Marcus Smart's still a good defender, but, you know, if you want to compete against the best teams in the NBA, you know, teams with so many offensive weapons like the Cavs or the Warriors, you need multiple guys who can, you know, wing defenders who can lock down, you know, opposing wings. And I think, you know, Hayward's going to be called on for that, but Jaylen Brown, if he can take that next step defensively, he's going to be called on to do that, especially in the postseason. And then on an offensive end, if he can kind of, you know, keep taking steps forward, you know, he could be maybe on that second unit. You know, he might end up starting at some point, but he's going to play a lot in the second unit with Gordon Hayward, you know, starting, you know, alongside Kyrie Irving. So if he can, you know, kind of be the, I guess, the captain of that second unit, then Celtics can really, you know, use their depth and pull away from some teams.
All right, well, my biggest takeaway from Celtics Media Day was definitely Brad Stevens saying, you know, this past offseason, he feels like he almost got a new job, which I just thought, I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, it's like, whoa, it's like same team, same guy, coaching staff that you're working with. It's just players coming in. But I just thought that was, and it started things off. I was like, wow, this is kind of crazy for a coach to say. But your biggest takeaway, I know, was different.
Well, I have a few kind of a lighter note. I liked Marcus Smart looking svelte.
Slend.
Yep. I think he dropped 20 pounds.
He looks unbelievable.
Down to 223. So yep, he's on a Mediterranean diet. He's eating dates.
Cut out junk food.
Yeah, eating dates. Eating some acai bowls, I think.
Loved the acai bowl comment.
You know, good for him.
I'm a huge fan of. Have you ever had one?
No, I actually
have
not.
They're unbelievable. Maybe the next Rebound we'll bring them in and we'll do a taste test.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think that's good. We can expense that.
Okay.
They're
expensive, so yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, besides the optics of that, you know, him kind of having more, that the reasoning behind that is he has more stamina. He's able to kind of, you know, be a little more athletic, defend more athletic players like maybe a John Wall or some, you know, some of the faster point guards in the NBA. So I thought that was a big thing. Also a big fan of Aaron Baines. I like Aaron Baines. He's got a good accent.
Great.
Love the accent.
Could hear him talk all day.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, you hear Steven Adams talking to the Thunder. It's like, oh man, you know, love that accent. And then Aaron Baines comes in.
He was funny too. He was witty.
Yeah, he's a witty guy. And Kyrie Irving, Australian citizen, born in Australia. So maybe there's a little Aussie connection there.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
All right, so we're gonna round this thing out with talking about the season opener, because that is right around the corner. Tuesday, October 17th, the Celtics out in Cleveland playing the Cavaliers. There it is. So for all of you at home waiting with bated breath, that is when you will see this new C's team in action. And I mean, honest opinion, do you think that that Kyrie gets booed or standing O?
I think he's gonna get booed.
You do?
It's gonna be a mix. I think there's gonna be a lot of people cheering, but especially after the comments he made, I think he's gonna get booed. The fact that he bolted town, but that, you know, sports fans are irrational.
If anybody wants to send Darren and I out there to cover it, we will be more than happy.
Yep.
Have your people call our people. So let's talk social media. We are going to talk about the best social media of the week. I mean, I feel like we're talking about the same things over and over again, but obviously LeBron James took to his Instagram account to show a nice picture of himself and Dwayne Wade. Obviously, they are very excited about playing with each other. as you can see there. Look at that. They have a little.
It's kind of like, it's kind of a situation where like the cool kid brings back his friend, and like the two cool kids are on this in the same class.
Like
now.
you can't sit with us
yeah,
type of thing?
Yeah, I hope it's not too much of that situation.
Well, there you go. Dwayne Wade also took
to
his Instagram. Oh, there we go. Right back. They just seem like they're besties.
I'm imagining like Isaiah going to like try and hang out with them. And
He's
like, no, man.
Yeah, sorry, Isaiah.
Hey, what are you guys doing tonight? And it's like, oh no, I'm just hanging with D-Wade tonight. Sorry.
All right. Well, then we're gonna go to now from two guys who have been in the league for a long time to a guy who's just starting in the league. Obviously, we have to talk Lonzo Ball. Hate 8 is the caption of this one, which is hilarious because everyone loves to hate the Ball family.
Yep. Yeah, and that's not going to change throughout the season.
No.
We were talking about this too. I think there's an over/under on the number of games before LeVar Ball calls out Luke Walton, the Lakers coach. Set at 15. I am hammering the under on that. I think LeVar Ball is going to be annoying.
If you're, you think of like when you're in like ecumenical league is what they called it in Massachusetts, but like little league baseball, anything like that. Like the parents, some parents are so brutal to coaches. You think that if you are an NBA coach, you've graduated from having annoying parents?
Yeah, and you know, at some point you have to think, all right, well, you know, this is an NBA team. Like, you know, we don't have to worry about what LeVar Ball says, but the fact is that LeVar,
headlines.
He makes headlines. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, well, that will do it.
A lot of drama.
First episode under our belt. You can follow along with Darren, send in questions, send in ideas for the show at Darren_Hartwell or myself at Cox Courtney, but keep it locked in right here at NESN.com. We've got all your NBA needs. It's an exciting time. Next time we talk here, it'll be, you know, the season will be underway. So it's definitely exciting.
We'll be overhyping the Celtics or Cavs, whoever wins that game. So
absolutely. And we'll be able to know if Kyrie got booed or standing out. I think there's going to be mixed.
Yeah? Yeah, I like that. I think there will be a mix, but you know, I'm gonna put my foot down. I think the boos outweigh the.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
All right, well that will do it for us. Hope you enjoy your season opening day night for the NBA. I know we are going to, so we will see you next time right here at NESN.com. The Rebound. You're gonna want to come back.
Barefoot, trying to reach my reservoir. Stole my style, need to pay me back. Crazy brainiac, made me turn into an animaniac. Say that you a baller.